Have you guys seen this new magazine? Whoa! The Glock 43, back on the menu, boys. The 43 made a big splash whenever it came out as Glock's first single-stack ultra-compact 9mm, but it faded into the shadows quickly when the amazing 43X was released. I'd really like to see some Glock fanfic about the 43 being like the head cheerleader and the most popular girl in high school until the smoking hot Glock 43X transfer student shows up and becomes class president with her huge Glock 43X boobs. The 43X was just slightly larger, slightly thicker, but it held substantially more ammo than the 43. The 43 holds 6 rounds from the factory. The 43X holds 10 rounds from the factory. Funny thing about that, Shield Arms is well known for its S15 magazines for the Glock 43X. The 43X, one of my most favorite handguns of all time. The factory 10-round magazine isn't quite a true single-stack magazine. That is, the rounds aren't like perfectly resting on top of each other. In the magazine, they're staggered a little bit. There's a little more space. So the guys at Shield Arms big-brained this, and they realized that Glock's insistence on wrapping its already hardened steel magazine bodies in an additional protective plastic shell. Removing that plastic shell will create more internal space in the magazine body, meaning that you can increase the capacity of the magazine. Put simply, just like any other hollow object, if you keep the external dimensions the same, but you reduce the thickness of the exterior walls, it's going to create more interior space. It's through this very simple principle that Shield Arms managed to squeeze a whopping 15 rounds into a flush-fit magazine for the Glock 43X, a staggering 50% increase in capacity. When the magazines first released, they were next to impossible to get. They were being sold by scalpers on Gunbroker for a huge markup. Shield improved the S15 Gen 1 to the S15 Gen 2, which I did a video about a few months back, so go check that out if you're so inclined. That all said, the name Shield Arms is going to be forever tied to the Glock 43X, but even those of you watching this video who know who Shield Arms is probably had no idea that Shield Arms' first project is the one that we're talking about today, the Z9 magazine for the Glock 43. And now, it's time for the Glock 43 to shine again. This is the part in the Glock High School fanfic where the 43 comes back from summer with a convertible Mustang and a nose job to try to seize her popularity back from that hooker, the Glock 43X. Shield applied that same principle, let's remove the plastic shell from the magazine, to the Glock 43 whenever it was released, and they figured that they could get a few extra rounds into the factory 6-round magazine if they removed the plastic shell, made the mag body all metal. It's a funny thing, both the 43 and the 43X use the exact same slide assembly. If you don't believe me, grab a 43X, grab a 43, swap the uppers, it works. Interestingly enough, the 43 has a slimmer frame by about 1/10 of an inch than the 43X, which means that 43X magazines are too thick to fit into the 43's magwell. Insert joke here about inserting. The different magazine geometry and the fact that the 43 magazine, which holds 6 rounds, is a true single stack with each round sitting perfectly on top of the round beneath it in the magazine, means that there's less space to work, and that made figuring out the geometry of the Z9 magazine a little bit tricky. And about halfway through this development cycle of the Z9 magazine, the Glock 43X drops. The guys at Shield see the massive potential there, and they realize it would be much easier to embiggen a 43X magazine than the 43 magazine. They stop what they're doing on the Z9, they rush to finish the S15 magazines, and the rest is history. Once these guys got enough of the S15 mag in circulation, they turned back to their original project, the Z9, and we see the finished product here today. This magazine takes your extremely lightweight 16-ounce Glock 43 and gives you an impressive 10 total rounds of 9mm capacity and Glock's slimmest pistol. Well, slimmest 9mm pistol. We can address the obvious, and that is that the magazine adds some length to the grip, but it's actually a mere 4/10 of an inch of overall height vertically, like an extension. In fact, the Z9 magazine's roughly the same height as a standard Glock magazine, Glock 43 magazine that is, with a +1 extension, as you can see here. And for that matter, there are many shooters who prefer to use the extension anyway so they can get a full grip on the gun instead of dangling a pinky. And if you're one of those people, this is a no-brainer for you. Myself and Ryan ran these at the range yesterday, ran several hundred rounds through them. I'll talk about that more in a second, but yeah, we definitely felt like our accuracy was much better at 20, 25 feet, being able to get that pinky on there and control recoil.
Getting pretty good accuracy. Like a little over, we're basically somewhere around 25 feet, I would say. So like over 7 yards, just shy of 10 yards, like 25, 30 feet. And I mean, that is with a Glock 43, getting a fist-sized group. That's pretty impressive. And then the same thing over here. And you saw, I'm not taking my time. That's a good shot cadence. So having that ability to get the pinky on there really does help. And it's nice to get the extra 3 rounds.
If you're like me and you prefer to maximize concealment, I maybe would have preferred an 8-round magazine that would have been flush fit. But if I had to choose between the 6-round factory magazine or adding just 4/10 of an inch to the overall length with the Z9, that's an easy choice. Let me get the 50% capacity upgrade and I'll probably never use my stock magazines again. Shield claims that the Z9 magazine was extensively tested to be 100% reliable. They claim that they expended about 50,000 rounds of ammo in testing the Z9 magazine, which is about 15 grand of 9mm. Shield also claims they had at least one magazine with over 10,000 rounds through it, and it was still 100% reliable. For that matter, Shield Arms says that the spring in the Z9 will absolutely outlast the recoil spring in your Glock 43, and they remind you to be mindful of the round count on your recoil spring because, as many of us know, recoil springs need to be changed a little bit more frequently in subcompact handguns like the 43 versus, like, say, the 17 or the 19. Of course, we wanted to test out the reliability ourselves, so we took the Z9s to the basement range at Gretna Gunworks. I was so excited to test these magazines out that it made me a little bit nervous and a little clumsy.
Ryan! Got the new Shield Arms Z9 magazines for the Glock 43. Oops-a-daisies.
Okay, not really. I'm just a super cringe actor.
Oh, the Z9s. Oh, whoa, whoa. Have you guys seen this new magazine? Whoa.
But we really slammed the piss out of these magazines, and the worst that happened is they would maybe cough up a couple of rounds. And one time the base plate got knocked about a 1/4 inch off. I was pretty surprised at how well the Z9 magazines tolerated the abuse that we were doling out. But then again, we pretty much did the exact same thing with the Shield S15 magazines, and they handled it about the same way. So I guess it isn't a big shocker or anything. These magazines seem pretty damn tough.
Shooting this Ultimate Ammunition 9mm Luger Plus P Blue Line, 90 grain Lehigh, like the screwdriver tip. 1,550 feet per second, which is just crazy, but I don't know if this stuff's worth a shit. I'm not endorsing it. I'm just making you all aware of it because I got like a half case of it. So we're gonna try this with these magazines. There's no reason for me to think that they won't work. Ready? Yep.
So the big question, does the Z9 make the Glock 43 relevant again? I would say that maybe the Glock 43 was never really irrelevant to begin with, since it's substantially smaller than the 43X. Just most of us realized that we could get the 43X with a slight size and weight penalty in exchange for 2.5 times the capacity. Or for that matter, you could just pick up a SIG P365 that holds 10 plus 1 rounds and is the same height as the Glock 43, albeit a little bit thicker. The Z9 doesn't automatically propel the Glock 43 back into your waistband. The 43X is bigger, it's heavier, it's a little bit thicker, even though both guns share the same upper, but you still get 6 more rounds of capacity. That might be a good trade for most. The Z9's impact is greater when you actually compare the P365 to the 43 with the Z9 mag. In standard configuration, the P365 is the same height as a standard Glock 43, but it holds 10 rounds plus 1 versus 6 rounds plus 1 with the factory Glock magazine in the Glock 43. But with the Z9 magazine in the 43, now you're talking about only a 1 round difference, with the 365 holding 11 total rounds versus the 43's 10 total rounds. The Glock 43 is also 1/10 of an inch thinner than the SIG P365, and when fully loaded, the 43 with the Z9 magazine will be 1 ounce lighter than the SIG P365. However, you do have to remember you're adding 4/10 of an inch to the butt of the Glock 43 when you add the Z9 mag, meaning that it will be 4/10 of an inch taller thereabouts than the SIG P365. Each gun also has minor advantages over the other. The 43 has a 3.4-inch barrel instead of the 3.1-inch barrel in the P365, but the P365 comes with outstanding night sights as standard. That's a paid upgrade for the Glock. The gist is, if you want something that's 1/10 of an inch thinner than the P365, 1 ounce lighter with a slightly longer barrel, you could go with the Glock 43 and the Z9 magazines. However, if you want an extra round of capacity, factory night sights, and a gun that's 4/10 of an inch shorter, the P365 is a better option. Personally, it, just buy both. They're each special little baby guns in their own little right, and I own each of them, and I love them. I will never give up my 365 or my 43. But that really shows you how monumental the Z9 magazine is for the 43, because last week, I don't even think I would entertain a comparison to you guys between the P365 and the 43. Factory configuration, it's pretty hard to beat the P365, which is a 10 plus 1 gun about the same size as the 43. But the point is that today with the Z9 magazine, the Glock 43 now looks a little bit more evenly matched with the P365, each gun kind of having their own pros and cons. Let's talk negatives. Some people, like my oldest adopted son, Hopperson J. Reeves, just will not trust a third-party magazine and a Glock. I used to beat him with a sack full of Pro Mags when he was a child, so I guess I understand, although do bear in mind the extensive testing allegedly performed by Shield Arms and the testing we did in this video. So that's not like a huge negative. Second negative, a metal magazine is not going to be as rust-proof as the plastic shelled Glock OEM magazine. But then again, now that puts the Z9 on the same playing field as every other magazine that isn't a Glock OEM. It's just a metal mag like everything else. So that isn't really a negative either. Third, some people might be deterred by what looks like a plastic plus extension on here, but this is really just like a plastic sleeve that goes over the metal magazine so it fits properly with the frame and gives you a comfortable grip. Now, it did get knocked a little bit off base whenever we slammed it against the concrete at the range, and that does kind of highlight how awesome the Glock 43 OEM mags are. You guys know they're a real bitch to remove. Like back in college, I would do it with 2 butter knives to remove the tabs for the base plate, but that son of a bitch is not going to get dislodged if you propel it into a hard concrete floor. Fourth, you are adding 0.4 inches to the overall height of the gun, but most of you do that for additional capacity or a better grip anyways, so I guess that's kind of a minor point, but maybe that's the biggest negative. Finally, I guess I'd say another real drawback is that these metal mags will chew apart your factory plastic magazine release, so you're gonna have to buy a steel mag release. Don't even get aluminum, it'll chew through that too. That's gonna set you back, I don't know, maybe 30 bucks, give or take like 10. Shield Arms sells a steel mag release you can see here that works very well. Myself and Big Sexy Henry at Gretna Gun, the master gunsmith there, we tackled this project together.
For you, this is going to be easy.
That's what they always say.
Yeah.
Manual.
I thought that would all be up here.
But
I thought that would all be up here by then. This is the Glock manual.
I'm 82 years old. I can't remember.
It looks more official.
Yeah, that manual looks 82 years old. God damn, Henry.
All right, let's see.
Changing a Glock mag release is a simple process. It's just a little tricky to do if you don't have a fast and loose senior citizen like Henry around to help you out with it. So in conclusion, if you own a Glock 43, I think these are an obvious pickup. If you don't own a Glock 43, it looks like Shield just brought the 43 back to being a relevant and competitive platform for concealed carry. Only 0.9 inches thick, 16 ounces empty, 3.4 inch barrel that's slightly longer than the average for the category, Glock reliability, not to mention holster compatibility, not only with the Glock 43, but with Glock 43X and 48. They all use the same holsters. I bet Glock's about to sell out of 43s next month. I mean, summer's right around the corner, boys. It's going to be hot. People tend to dress lighter, and that means carrying smaller guns. For myself, personally, I like to have only one huge bulge in my swim trunks, so I think this might be the summer of the Glock 43 Z9 edition. Guys, thanks a ton as usual for watching. Make sure you check out our sponsors, Ventura Munitions. They sent the ammo we used in this video, as well as Top Gun Supply, your online shooting sports superstore. If you would like to win one of 4 free guns that we give away every month, make sure you join at the $5 level or higher on Utreon or Subscribestar, and you are automatically entered to win the drawing every single month. One of 4 guns. We give them away on our awful TFBTV mailroom series, of which we just had our 50th episode. So thank you all for that. Thank you for watching. Thank you to our supporters. Guys, take care and stay tuned.